Woodrow Wilson's legacy has undergone multiple dramatic shifts, from arguably the most hated president ever when he left office in 1921, to the most beloved president ever by the mid-20th century, to now, at the very least, the most hated president online. Getting the US involved in World War I, the Spanish flu epidemic, and the post-war economic depression made Wilson wildly unpopular by the end of his second term and led to Warren G. Harding's landslide election in 1920, ushering in 12 straight years of complete Republican control, turning towards isolationism and away from Wilson's ideology that the US had a role to play on the world stage. And with the Roaring Twenties underway, Wilson's legacy seemed destined for the dustbin of history. But then the Great Depression happened. Then the Nazis took over Germany. Then World War II broke out. Then the US was forced to get involved in the war because it was attacked. Then Wilson looked like a prophet. FDR's New Deal programs to combat the Depression in the 1930s were seen as a continuation of the progressive era that Wilson was so instrumental in bringing about, and his leadership in World War II was just following through on many of Wilson's original foreign policy goals. With the revelation of the Holocaust, the global consensus was that turning away from Wilson's ideals in the 1920s caused the worst economic crisis, the worst genocide, and the worst war in world history, all within a span of roughly a decade. It was the ultimate I told you so of I told you so's of all time for Wilson. With America as a superpower by this point, Wilson was deified. The civil rights movement of the 1960s, though, cast Wilson's legacy in a different light, as he was a raging racist, even for his time. He resegregated the federal government while president, screened the abhorrently racist Birth of a Nation film, which depicts the KKK as the heroes at the White House, and did nothing to curb the anti-black riots that occurred throughout the nation after the war. George W. Bush's abject failure with the Iraq War, which was promoted with Wilsonian language like spreading democracy in the Middle East, led to a reevaluation of American foreign policy and whether the US should truly be the country that polices the world. Isolationism has since begun to rise again, and with that has come a more outright rejection of Wilsonianism. The debate over civil liberties that returned to the forefront under Bush with his signing of the Patriot Act also hurt Wilson, as it brought back the stories of him jailing anti-war protesters. As a result, his legacy has collapsed once again, and he now may even be more hated than he was when he left office.